It's not King's Quest, it's not Space Quest, and it's definitely not Police Quest. It's Gold Rush, a 3D animated adventure game made by Sierra. And we'll be looking at the 2GS version today. This was an absolute classic. I loved playing this game as a kid. Let's take a look at the box that it came in. As usual, being a Sierra game, it came in a nice colorful sleeve. You got screenshots on the back. A lot of information. Nice illustration on the front. Overall, really good quality. Under the sleeve, we have the Sierra signature logo stained on the box. Looking at the contents, the game came with a 90-page history book about the Gold Rush. I mean, who does that? That's just crazy. You have a much more trim manual for Gold Rush. Came with the all-important hint book that I needed a lot as a kid, and embarrassingly enough, I actually needed it a couple times while I was playing the game recently. You have a foldable map that shows the gold regions back in the day. And finally, you got the 4 3.5-inch floppy disks. Or was there 5? No, just 4. Just 4. Luckily, the game was hard drive installable. So immediately after starting up the game, we're asked a question that you most likely wouldn't know the answer to without owning the Gold Rush book. This was Sierra's way of handling piracy. Remember, we didn't have Google back in 1989. You get the question wrong, and you're dead before your adventure begins. Yeah, I got some last words for you. It never gets old. So once you actually give the correct response, we get a little introduction to the game. And I love this introduction, so I'm going to play the whole thing for you. Why does the Brady Bunch keep coming to mind when I see this thing? Really weird. So this is Gold Rush, and like all of Sierra's adventure games for the 2GS, you control your player with the keyboard, mouse, or joystick, totally your preference. Gold Rush was the last game by Sierra to use the AGI game engine, and they did the best they could with it. I think the colors are bright and the graphics are decent. You give commands by typing them out. Just use common verbs like look or talk. And if you just type look, it's going to give you a brief description of the screen that you're looking at. But if you follow it up with a noun of something on the screen, then it's going to respond by describing what that object looks like. And really, this is Text Adventure 101. I mean, if you haven't played Sierra's old adventure games, you're missing out. These text interface type games were just so awesome back in the day. And honestly, I miss these text adventure games. With the point-and-click adventures, you're so limited in what you can do or say. But with open text, it really gives you the sense that you can make your player do anything you want him to do. Of course, Sierra's dictionary doesn't accept all words, especially curse words or sexually related commands. And don't ask me how I know this. I was 10, I was curious, and like you were any better. Alright, so Gold Rush. What the heck is this game about? Well, it takes place in Brooklyn Heights, New York in 1848. And you play as Jared Wilson, an East Coast city slicker, and he makes an honest living at a local newspaper company. Your parents died several years ago and your brother James has gone missing, and you're now the sole owner of your family home, but something is missing in Jared's life, and he dreams of adventure. But before your adventure can begin, there are a couple things you have to do, and we'll start here in Jared's home. So you want to open up his family album and look at some of the pictures. Really? I'm not close enough? It looks pretty close to me, but I'll go with it. Great. So memories, memories, memories. Every time you look at this album, it brings back memories. So you scan through the album and you see your father and his best man, Mr. Quayle, and etc., etc. And essentially what you want to do is go to the last page of the album and take out the family photo, because you're going to need that later on in the game to prove your identity to a certain sibling who I mentioned earlier, Jake. So you'll want to explore the town and look around a bit. There's a few secrets to be had here and there, including under the floor of this gazebo. You see the sparkle of something shiny. Ah yes, a closer look reveals a gold coin under the gazebo. And you get that catchy little tune anytime you discover something like that. So this is where Jared works, at the paper company. And he's been working there since he was a teenager. He was a paper boy, and now he's something. Actually, I have no idea what he does now, but he aspires to be a manager one day. And I think he has a crush on this secretary. At least that's what I've gathered. Or maybe she has a crush on him. Jerry, don't be such a stranger. You work so much. I worry about you. Let's get it on, Lois. Oh, I entertain myself too easily. Alright, let's get back on track. So although I do think it's a good idea to explore the town, you also want to be somewhat cognizant of the time, as certain opportunities will be lost if you dilly-dally too long. For this reason, it's a good idea to make multiple save states, and that way you can have one save state where you're exploring the town, and you don't have to worry about the time factor. So along your little travels, you definitely want to make a stop by the post office, and you want to ask to get your mail, and hopefully you get a letter from James. And indeed you do. So you want to take the letter and go to a safe spot where you can read it in privacy. So this is a letter from your long-lost brother. And there's a not-so-subtle message right there. The words all in caps spell, "Great Find, American River." What could that refer to? So obviously your brother has found gold and he wants to share it with you. But he's asking you to bring something so that he'll know it's you. Hence the family photo. He also left behind a cryptic clue, which means nothing right now, but it will be required later on in the game. And as the game progresses, your brother's going to leave behind a lot of clues like this, and some of them will make no sense at all, at least not to me, and so I did refer to the hint book a couple times. And then if you look at the stamp a little bit more carefully, you'll notice that there's something behind it. So peel it back, and you'll find a gold flake, further confirmation that your brother has found gold. So you want to sell your house and get some money, and I typically buy a ticket to go to California. And you can either go through Cape Horn or the Panama Canal. And so the Panama route is more expensive, but it's also much quicker. At least it is if you don't encounter any dangers. And so, what the heck? I'll buy it. $900. It's highway robbery. But what the hell. So you want to rush over to the dock so you don't miss the ship. It's going to leave in just a few minutes after you bought that ticket, and that's because the rush is on and everybody's going to California. Now what's really awesome about Gold Rush is the fact that you can get there so many different ways. I mean, I typically take the ship, but you could get there by horseback or stagecoach, and so there's a nice replay value to the game. So the crewman says the ship's going to leave in 2 minutes, so you just want to hang around for a couple minutes. You don't want to go too far because once the ship leaves, that's it.
All aboard!
So as you can see, I missed some critical points there. But nothing that should actually stop me from winning the game. And so we're off to California. Away we go! So here I am on my way to Panama, and there's actually not a lot of interaction that you do on the ship. But it's kind of funny because if you take the Cape Horn route, it's the complete opposite. And a good portion of the game is actually going to be spent on the ship, and you are going to be forced to interact with your crewmates and find clues and stuff like that. But regardless, as you travel along, you're going to get a bit of a history lesson with some interesting facts about the people and geography in the area. And as fascinating as that sounds, you can actually turn those off by pressing Shift 8. So before you know it, you arrive in Panama. So things start off smoothly enough. And you're traveling along in your little boat with your guide, traveling down one of the many rivers of the exotic jungle. When suddenly, the lead native on the shore yells, "Hoomba boomba, groomba zoomba, hoomba zoomba roomba goomba." So the guide interprets basically that the leader of the tribe said, "Give us all your possessions or you will die." So you need to make a decision. Do you give them all your possessions, or do you call their bluff and continue traveling down the river? So give up your possessions? Oh, hell no. You tell the guide to tell the natives, "No way!" And that was not what I was hoping for. Run! Run is not understood. Jump! Abandon ship! What the hell? Are you joking me? Nice shot, Harry. All in a day's work, Frank. Son of a bitch. And thus endeth your adventure. But you didn't really think I was going to end the review already, did you? Luckily, I had another save state. So as you recall, I also had the option of traveling around Cape Horn. And so, as I mentioned earlier, most of the journey is actually going to be spent on the ship. Who am I joking? The whole journey is going to be spent on the ship. And so you want to interact with your crewmates and look around the ship, try to find clues. And although this is a lot cheaper, it's going to take considerably longer to get there. And so you're going to go through storms and illness, and so you're going to have to definitely find ways to stay alive. So if all goes well, you'll arrive here in California, and here's Sutter's Fort alongside the American River. Since I took the Cape Horn route, I got here pretty late in the game, and so the fort is pretty much abandoned at this point. Here I find a lone guard, and he basically gives you some pointers. He tells you to go find a shovel or a pan and a mule, go down to the river and try to get some gold, and then come back up when I have enough to buy the rest of my supplies. So between panning for gold and shoveling for gold, I personally think it's way easier to pan for the gold. Although there's a lot of dry spots, you're also going to find a lot of hot spots. Just like that. And another. Ooh, baby. I'm rich. Gonna buy a mansion. Gonna bang Lois. Gonna do whatever the hell I want. Oh, gee willikers, Wally, this is wonderful! Sorry about that, I got a little excited. But I'm focused now. And here I have my brother's mule. Won't even begin to tell you what I had to go through to get this thing. But what you want to do is wander into the forest and ask Jared to follow it. Why the hell would you do that? Because he will actually lead you to your brother's cabin. So once you find that right spot, you get this little music playing, and you want to follow that mule wherever he goes. Once he makes up his mind. There we go. So keep following that mule. And keep following him. All the way wherever he goes. Until eventually you'll find the cabin. And so you'll go into the cabin. Your brother's nowhere to be found, but there's a couple items you'll want to grab in here. But the more important area that you want to be, believe it or not, is the outhouse. I mean, have you seen Jared take a dump in this game? I have not. So I bet you this guy is backed up tight. Alright, now that that's over with, the real purpose of the outhouse. You want to light one of your matches and look down into the toilet hole. And you'll notice it's really large, so you want to get a closer look. Yes, you actually climb down into the toilet. Do I really have to do this? Yes, you do. Oh, gee willikers, Wally, this is wonderful! So here you are under the outhouse, and as you can see there's an underground cave, so you want to light up your lantern or matches. Hopefully you have a lantern because the matches burn out really quick. And so go ahead and travel deeper within the cave, and you'll eventually find a door that leads into a catacomb, and hopefully you'll eventually find your brother. And so you want to help him pick at the wall for more gold. And you just want to keep on picking because there is a lot of gold here. And then take the gold off the wall when it tells you to. Take all of it. Keep going. Alright, so now you want to start picking at that same wall again. But now you're actually going to start breaking through the wall. Keep going, little brother. My heart's a poundin', James. Alright, the hole's big enough. So let's go through. For a moment you and James stand in awe of what you have found. The silence is broken only by echoes of the splashing stream winding through the cavern. The light of the lantern reflects a golden glimmer all around. This must be a dream. And that's it. This is the final screen of the game. So you've reunited with your brother, and together you guys found this underground cavern full of gold under his outhouse of all places. But this is Gold Rush, and it's an often overlooked classic in my opinion. You know, a lot of people talk about King's Quest and Space Quest, but you don't hear a lot of conversation about Gold Rush, and I don't know why. But I hope you enjoyed my review, and thank you for watching.